When we start a family and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gives us children, we have different intentions. Sometimes in the back of our mind, in the depths of our heart, we have this intention that in our old age, when we need assistance, maybe financial, maybe physical assistance, then our children, our son, our daughter will come to our aid. Quran speaks of that in Surah Baqarah. لا تدرون أيهم أقرب لكم نفعا فريدة من الله. If you feel that in the chapter of inheritance, when you feel that one of your son or daughter should be given more than his due share, thinking that he will be of more benefit to you, Quran says you do not know which of your children will be more beneficial to you. Sometimes a person thinks his son will be of assistance, of help to him in his old age, but it turns out the daughter is more helpful than the son. So throughout the centuries, people have had different intentions. To be honest, parents in this country really don't need financial assistance in their old age, because of all the nets that we have. The net of Social Security and pension plan and 401k and Medicare. So it has been observed that parents don't need the financial assistance. But whatever our intention is, sometimes back in the day they would have the intention that having another child will be of help on the farm, on the field. He will help us. But Anbiya alayhimus salatu was salam, prophets and the righteous people of this ummah had a very different intention. Their intention was none of the above. Quran speaks of Zakaria alayhi salam and his intention when he spoke up and made his dua that inni khiftul mawaliya min wara'i, that I am afraid that min wara'i, after I die, when I am no longer in the world, no longer in the picture, I am afraid of my relatives, my kinfolk, that they will not hold on to the straight path. Inni khiftul mawaliya min wara'i wa kanat imra'ati aqira, and my wife is barren, O Allah. Fahabli min ladunka waliya, bestow a gift. Waliya, bestow a gift from you. Give us a gift in the form of a son. And what will he do? Yarithuni. This is the intention of a Nabi, Zakaria alayhi salam. Unlike our intentions. Yarithuni wa yarithu min ali Yaqub. He will inherit from me, and he will inherit from the family of Jacob, from the family of Yaqub alayhi salam. What will he inherit? Not money. Innal anbiya la yuwarrithu dinaran wala dirhaman bal warrathul ilm. Anbiya alayhimus salatu wassalam, they leave behind a legacy of knowledge. This ilm of nubuwa, ilmun nubuwa, will be transferred to my son. Yarithuni wa yarithu min ali Yaqub. Waj'alhu rabbi radiya. And Yaqub, Zakaria alayhi salam is making this dua even before conception. The child has not even been conceived in the womb of the mother. And this is the dua of Zakaria alayhi salam, Waj'alhu rabbi radiya. O Allah, make him a child that is pleasing to you, someone who you are pleased with. Usually we make this dua when it's too late, when the child has gone way off track. Then we come to the imam, to the sheikh, and say, can you make dua for my son? Can you make dua for his hidayat? Here, Anbiya alayhimus salatu wassalam are making this dua before conception. Waj'alhu rabbi radiya. The mother of Maryam, she made a similar dua for her child. Inni nadartu laka ma fi batni muharrara. Oh Allah, I make the intention, nadar, I make an oath, a solemn promise to you that whatever is in my womb, muharrara, will be dedicated to the service of Islam, will be dedicated to the service of Bayt al-Maqdis. And she was expecting a son. This is the mother of Maryam. And who was born? Maryam. And when she responded, oh Allah, this is a girl. How can a girl serve Bayt al-Maqdis? Then Allah replied, Laysa dhakaru kal untha. This girl is unlike any other male in this world. This girl will grow up to be the mother of Isa alayhi salam. So this was the intention that parents had. What intention did we have for our children? If we had the intention to make them Hafidhul Quran, or we had some good intentions, but then we became lazy and we did not follow through with our intention, then this is a very serious matter. Because Quran speaks of that also. That they made an oath to Allah. That لَنَصَدَّقَنَّ لَإِنْ أَعْطَانَا مِنْ فَضْلِهِ. If Allah gives us from His fadl, His bounty, wealth, لَنَصَدَّقَنَّ, we will give sadaqah. وَلَنُكُونَنَّ مِنَ الصَّالِحِينَ, and we will be from amongst the righteous. فَلَمَّا آتَاهُم مِّن فَضْلِهِ, when Allah gave from His fadl, when Allah gave the promotion that you so wanted, when Allah gave the job that you so desired and were wishing for, فَلَمَّا آتَاهُم مِّن فَضْلِهِ, when Allah gave from His fadl, بَخِلُوا بِهِ, they became miser. وَتَوَلَّوْا وَهُمْ مُعْرِضُونَ, and they turned their backs on Allah. What is the punishment for those who go against the promise that they made to Allah? What is the promise I make to you and you make to me? What is the promise you make to Allah? فَأَعْقَبَهُمْ, the very next ayat, فَأَعْقَبَهُمْ نِفَاقًا فِي قُلُوبِهِمْ, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala put hypocrisy, nifaq, in their hearts, إِلَى يَوْمِ يَلْقَوْنَهُ, till the day of judgment. Bima akhlafullah. Why? Bima akhlafullah. Khilaf. Bima akhlafullah. Because they went against the promise. Ma wa'adu. Bima akhlafullah ma wa'adu. Because they went against the promise that they made to Allah. So if we made a good intention for our children when they were born, and now we have put those intentions on the wayside, then we should be very fearful. But there was one family who Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala helped them with their intention. And that is the family of Brother Maqsood. They made the intention that Allah should make their children Hafidhul Quran. They will make their children Hafidhul Quran. There's nothing more powerful than the intention of a believer. They made the intention. And they made the effort, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala made it easy for them. So alhamdulillah, today, Rayan, please stand up. This is the first student from Utah Islamic Center who has completed his hifz. MashaAllah. Takbir. Allahu Akbar. His brother, Allahu Akbar. And this is Aryan, his younger brother, who will be completing inshallah next month. Made the intention. Brother Maqsood made the intention. Made the effort. You can't just make the intention and then go back to sleep. Make the effort, and then Allah is the doer. Allah made it easy. We look at them as children, just kids. But Allah sees something else. The younger one, I gave him a cell phone once, and I said, hold on to this for a second. By the time I came back 5 minutes later, he had dropped it. It was the best cell phone I had. The screen was cracked. I wouldn't trust him with a cell phone. Allah has entrusted him with the Quran. That means Allah sees something in them that I and you don't see. Something that you and I don't see, Allah sees. That He has entrusted the Holy Quran in their hearts. It's not any person. Any person is not chosen. This is a gift from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Because our eyes are different. What we see as a person of status, a person of rank, is not necessarily a person of status and rank in the eyes of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Our priorities sometimes do not align with the priorities that have been laid down by Allah and His Messenger sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Our priorities in life sometimes are based on culture, based on what other people are doing, based on our concocted imagination. We think this is a person of respect and honor. In reality, he is not in the sight of Allah. And at times we think this is not a person of respect and honor. And in fact, he is in the sight of Allah. To demonstrate the beautiful hadith by Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam mentioned in Bukhari, that a woman from Bani Israel, before Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, hundreds of years before Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, she was nursing her child, infant, few months old, and a handsome rider on a nice stallion, looked smart, healthy, young, rode past. Someone you might see in a nice car drive by. Looks like everything is going for him. So this mother, naturally, she said, Allahumma ja'al ibni mithlahu. Oh Allah, make my son like this. When my son grows up, make him like this. The child stopped suckling, looked up and said, Allahumma la taj'alni mithlahu. Oh Allah, do not make me like him. Then he went back to suckling. Some time went by. Another person was being dragged by a crowd of people who were saying, Zanaita wa sarakta, you have committed zina and you have theft, you have stolen. He was being accused falsely. So this mother, she said, Allahumma la taj'al ibni mithlahu. Oh Allah, do not make my son like him. The child stopped suckling, looked up and said, Allahumma ja'alni mithlahu. Oh Allah, make me like him. Who is dear in the sight of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? You and I don't know. We think, oh, just some kid who has memorized the Quran. On the day of judgment, we will find out. When this vision, when we have the vision of 2020 in the hereafter, when it will be told to the person of Quran, to the person who memorized the Quran, that he can take 10 people with him in Jannah. Hadith is in Tirmizi and Ibn Majah. 6 books of hadith that are the most authentic. Bukhari, Muslim, Tirmizi, Abu Dawud, Nasa'i, Ibn Majah. Hadith is in Tirmizi and Ibn Majah. Man qara al-Quran, who recites the Quran, wastazharahu, and memorizes it, fa'ahalla halalahu, takes its halal as halal, wa harrama haramahu, and takes its haram as haram. In other words, practices, not just a hafiz, but he practices the Quran. Stays away from the haram, follows what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has ordered him to do. شفع الله له في أشر من أهل بيته كلهم قد وجبت لهم النار. Allah will accept his intercession on behalf of 10 family members on whom the fire of Jahannam has been made mandatory. 10 family members on whom the fire of Jahannam, hellfire, has become wajib. This hafiz will be able to intercede and say to Allah, oh Allah, grant this person forgiveness, and oh Allah, enter him into Jannah. Believers will also intercede for one another. Nabi sallallahu alayhi wasallam, his shafa'at is shafa'at kubra, the highest level of intercession. But believers will also intercede. A believer will say, oh Allah, this person gave me a glass of water to drink in dunya. Glass of water. He gave me a glass of water to drink. Today I see him, he's in trouble. Oh, Allah forgive him. Shafa'ah. So if a person can intercede for someone who has given him a glass of water to drink, a hafiz, definitely his shafa'ah will be accepted in the sight of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So this intention, we should have the intention that our children should become hafiz. And if our children have grown up, because you have to catch them when they're young, that's the key, then make the intention for your grandchildren. Make the intention for your grandchildren. Every family, at least every family should have one hafiz in the family. Or at least one extended family should have a hafiz al-Quran. Now, how is that possible? People think, how is it possible? Well, here it is. Born in the University of Utah Hospital. Done. It's doable. It's doable. Where there's a will, there's a way. As I said, there's nothing more powerful than the intention of a believer. What happened here is that his parents pulled him out of the public school, 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th grade, 4 years, took 4 years to memorize. But he was doing homeschooling. See, the amount of work that is usually accomplished in the public school system in 6 hours, you can probably get that done in 2 hours at home, because you're teaching your child one-on-one. The rest of the time, about 8 to 10 hours. It's not easy. I will not kid you. Someone said, could it be done in 6 months? You're dreaming. There are cases where people have memorized the Quran in less than 6 months, but typically it takes 3 to 4 years. 8 to 10 hours a day, 8 to 10 hours a day, 6 days a week, 7 days a week. Is it worth it? We all know the answer. Yes, it is definitely worth it. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will bless them in the hereafter and in this world. As I said before, we see something and Allah sees something else. We see a mu'adhin, we see just a mu'adhin. Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam said, أَطْوَلُ أَعْنَاقًا يَوْمَ الْقِيَامَةِ. Those who give the adhan, they will have the longest necks on the Day of Judgment. In other words, they will have the highest honor on the Day of Judgment. We just see a mu'adhin, we just see a hafiz. How Allah will reward them in the hereafter is beyond our imagination. In this world, Allah will bless them through the barakah of the Quran. Any field that any hafiz would like to go into, it's a piece of cake for him. LSAT, MCAT, you name it. Why? Because he has already done the heavy lifting. People who go to the gym, they know you lift weights so your muscle grows. Why? Because the more you use that muscle, biceps for example, the bigger your biceps become. The more you use your brain, the more power it has, the more memory power it has. And plus, it gives the discipline. What our children lack is discipline, because there's so many distractions around them in the form of video games and TV and social media. When they have been disciplined at a young age to focus for 8 hours, 10 hours a day, hour after hour reciting, they have what it takes now to propel them, to make them successful in any career that they choose. If you can lift 50 pounds, you can definitely lift 40 pounds. What about their school? Well, he's going to revise the Quran for the next 4 or 5 months, and then when the school year starts in August, he's simply going to go to 8th grade. 8th grade. 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th. But he goes back to 8th grade. And I told his mom, if she doesn't feel comfortable putting him in 8th grade, voluntarily put him in 7th. What's the big deal? LDS missionaries, they go on an LDS mission for 2 years after high school. So the average college age in Utah is higher than the rest of America. Why? Because of the LDS missionaries. They're not going to college as soon as they graduate at the age of 18 from high school. When are they entering college? 20. So the average college age in Utah is higher than anywhere else in America. But they give 2 years. So if we were to hold our children back, by 1 year, but in return they have become Hafidhul Quran, you have, with a level of certainty, there's no guarantee, but with a high level of certainty, the father can say that Alhamdulillah, Deen is secure in the life of my child. I can go to my grave with peace. Not only in the life of my child, but Deen is secure in the life of my grandson also. Because the person whose father is a Hafiz, the children will at least be able to recite the Quran. So you have secured Islam and Deen in 2 generations. And you can go to your grave in peace. Otherwise, we will be in our grave and God knows where our children will be. May Allah protect them. So we should all have this intention to make our children Hafiz. And if the ship has sailed, then our grandchildren. Parents need to come together. It's happening, Alhamdulillah. Alhamdulillah, many. And I can say with certainty that a majority of the masajid and Islamic centers in America have a full-time Hifz program in the masjid. Majority. I'm not saying all. Majority, over 50% of the masajid in America have a full-time Hifz program. There's so much demand for it. Unbelievable. Hafiz cannot be found in America to teach Hifz class. We don't see it happening in Salt Lake City because we're 30 years behind. When it comes to Deen and Islamic activities, I remember Chicago 30 years ago, if someone memorized 10 surahs, that was a big deal, mashallah. And we had a special club called the 10 Surah Club. Because he had memorized the last 10 surahs of the Quran. Now in Chicago, for example, alhamdulillah, there's hundreds, no exaggeration, hundreds of children who are memorizing Quran. And there are thousands of Hafiz, thousands. I have seen with my eyes PhDs unemployed, masters unemployed, doctors unemployed, but I have never seen a Hafiz looking for work. Allah will take care. Quran is in your heart. Quran is in your heart. You are Ahlul Quran. You are Allah's people. Allah will take special care of you. And this all comes about because Allah has chosen some people in whose heart Allah has put the love of Quran. It's only the love of Quran that can propel a person to do this. Otherwise, why would a person do it? It's the love of Quran. Nabi sallallahu alayhi wasallam was the first Hafidhul Quran. And not all the Sahaba were Hafiz, but thousands of Sahaba were Hafidhul Quran. And from that day onward, alhamdulillah, there has been millions of people in the ummah who have memorized the Quran. Why? Because Allah has chosen them and Allah has put the love of Quran in their hearts. So may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala enable all of us, bless us with this gift of making our children or someone in our family, or at least our extended family, Hafidhul Quran. وآخر الدعوانا الحمد لله رب العالمين وما علينا إلا البلاغ.